Honestly, this Daya team is really insane and I love it so much.
7K dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We have Daya with us today and we're gonna look at her skill set as well as her equipment first. I have tested her in two teams, a magic team and a universal team for this particular video, so I hope this will give you an idea of how she can be used. I've given her crit and lethal. You can give her double crit because she does have 80% chance to land suffocation at level 40 with her exclusive item, so that is somewhere you will want to invest in some debuff cast rate for her. But here I'm giving her crit and lethal to balance the damage out. You can give her HP or block if you want. So I give her double HP, and for the accessory wise, I've given her Guardian Ring as well as Celestial Purification. The reason for this is because I find her pretty frail somehow. Okay, she gets a lot of crit and lethal damage done to her. So I've given her the Guardian Ring for more survival, and you really want her to survive because her passive is everything that she is good for, right? So that's why I've given her the Guardian Ring and the Celestial Purification to cleanse the debuffs of her. Though you may not want to give her cleanse because sometimes you don't even need her skills. So recovery skill here, survive on 1 HP, very important, and block rate increase. The block rate is kind of subpar. I don't actually know what else to give her. That's why I give her block rate, but if you do have better options, you can leave them in the comments and maybe share with everyone. The recovery skill here though, I actually, thinking back, may not be a good choice because she recovers HP of allies by 30%. It is not specific that this 30% is based on her magic attack, but probably based on the allies' max HP itself. Okay, because later on when you see the recovery is actually, the value of the recovery is different, right? Okay, so for exclusive item, you have the suffocation, remove shields, and also that's where the recovery comes in. So again, I'm not too sure whether this recovery is based on her magic attack or the allies HP, but it's more likely to be based on your allies HP, 30% of whatever HP your ally has. Okay, so with that, we'll look at the traits. For the traits, I've given her Electrify and Paralyze Resist and Status Cast Rate for the suffocation, but trust me, the suffocation is not too powerful, I would say. Okay, so maybe you would like to give her another resistance trait instead. Bear in mind, she does provide immunity to bleed and poison, so that is a huge benefit, okay, for your entire team because you can save on two big resistances for your heroes, right? Especially for your counter hero, and in this case, we are using Abel. Okay, so we're going to check out the magic team. I'm so proud of this team. Okay, honestly, it has carried me on the live stream yesterday from 4,007 Grand, I guess, all the way to Supreme. Later on, you guys will see. I'm still in Grand when I was recording this. Okay, so first off, we're fighting a tank team, which is very different from a lot of the meta teams, the magic and offensive team. And unfortunately, the enemy gets to go first, but thankfully I have the buff block, so I'm okay. And you will see the damage that my heroes will deal. It's actually a huge amount. That is thanks to 50% increase in magic attack by Daya. And I think, as I said, if offensive teams have red grade, then now we have Daya for magic teams. Even her regular skill does decent damage without crit and lethal somehow. Okay, but because she deals damage based on the enemy's HP. So the higher the HP, the more damage you will deal to them. And you'll see the anti also does a lot of damage thanks to Daya's magic attack boost. And my Abel actually hits insanely hard because I managed to get the Storm set, the old Storm set right before recording this. So my Abel hits super hard, and with magic attack boost from Daya, it's just insane. Okay, you do see that there's a slight heal popping up whenever Abel counters, right? That's because you can tell that someone is dying from that attack. So the heal actually comes before the enemy dies, but it happens in the same turn, of course. So that is a way you can tell, if the heal is working. So just to share a bit more about this team, basically Yonhee is there for buff block. My Yonhee is actually the speed leader, attack leader. However, she has more crit and lethal jewels, okay? But my Abel is the main counter, okay? And then for NT and Eve, I think, I don't have to explain much about them. They're just super good. And with Eve providing lifesteal to my entire team, my Abel is able to recover so much because he also has a lifesteal jewel. And with Daya also healing, I think this magic team is actually pretty bulky unless the opponent just stretch me. Of course, I do have skill nullification from NT as well, and it's very important that you try to give her increased awakening gauge to get the skill nullification at level 42, exclusive item of course. Yeah, so the Abel's damage is really insane, and the main thing about Daya is that her magic attack increase is not limited to just magic heroes unlike Rosie, right? So that's why you can use Abel in this team and it works so well. Rosie is kind of like the poorer version of Anti, or rather I should say the more defensive version of Anti, because Rosie does provide a lot of defense reduction, damage reduction, okay? Yeah, and this is Daya's Awaken skill. She will not use it if there is no empty slot on the field, just to take note, okay? She will not use it, so you will not be able to land her debuff. Her Awaken skill actually allows you to do more damage to the enemy team, but she will not use it if there's no empty slot on your team. So I'm finally facing the offensive team here, which is something I really don't like because of Agnes, Flame and Fi. But you will see how this team performs against the offensive team. And usually I'm pretty scared of the offensive team, but with this team, I'm actually not afraid at all. One reason is because, they are quite not resistant to poison and bleed, and you look at the damage anti deals, it's crazy, it's really crazy. I just slap them so fast, right? So that is a good thing to have Daya on the field. Her other two skills are not too amazing. They are really just pure damaging skills with suffocation and removing of shields, which, in PvP is not the most fantastic thing. The shield removal is really subjective as well, and suffocation doesn't do insane damage like how we felt from Tara. Okay, so honestly, I think sometimes it's better for her not to use her skills, but you may want to get her awaken skill up by then. So I think it's actually safe to give her increased awakening gauge charge speed, because she won't use her awaken skill anyway if there's no empty slots. But there are many battles that without the charge speed jewel, she will not be able to get her awakening gauge fast enough. Later on we'll see a match where she does get her gauge, her awaken skill used. And yeah, as I said, Abel does a lot of damage, even on regular skills. As we know, his regular skills is actually quite bad, right? When we were evaluating him, he has no ignore defense, but with with Daya on the field, it actually does quite a lot of damage. To the point whereby, if you watch the live stream I had yesterday, he was able to chain attack with his awaken skill a few times. So that's pretty significant. Here I'm facing a universal team primarily. Yeah, so we have faced 4 different kind of teams: the tank team, universal team, magic team, and offensive team. So yeah, you can see how this team really works, and I'm loving it, loving all the damage that I'm dealing. He does have an Abel too, so it's kind of worrying, especially with stun, and he managed to completely shut my team down, but thankfully I have purification. Yeah, look at the damage Abel does, and that is on a regular skill. Even though the enemy's Abel also countered really crazily. Boom. And take note that he has bleed on him, so there's extra damage done. So with Eve around, Eve really supports Abel very well. And there we go, the chain attack. And that was 640,000 damage, by the way. Abel DPS. Honestly, only possible with Daya. She does do the finishing move here, so we don't get to see the suffocation damage, but it's not fantastic, okay? So So this is the universal team. I was initially using Platin and it really just did not work at all, so I had to change to Judas, and it turned out really well. It really turned out well. Of course, I'm using Rudy here for defense and block rate increase. My Judas and my Wukong, I think, are on block. Okay, so Abel's in front, of course, to take more damage, to take more hits, to counter more. My Daya's in a safe spot. And then Judas is there to reduce recovery rate so that I don't have to deal with the annoying Fenris. Even though I did meet one later during the recording, I didn't include that match here because it was so long. The only problem with this team is that my skill nullification is not fast enough, right? And sometimes Abel dies really quickly. Here Gerard dies to reflect. As you saw, when Gerard was about to use his skill, there was a heal, and that was from Daya. Okay, so really good. And this is kind of like the first time I'm reviewing a hero that is so passive reliant that I don't even care if she's not using her skills. And right now, yeah, Judas with Fear. That's the good thing about going against offensive teams, honestly, because they have no anti. They can't use anti in their teams. And Fear goes through very easily. And Wukong hits very hard, so Fear and Wukong, I think, it's quite destructible. Destructive, I mean. Unfortunately, yeah, my Abel has died. It's okay. I really feel like they could have done more with her skill set, maybe give her buff duration reduction. That would be really helpful, honestly. Like, you know, I would want her to use her skills then. Another good effect I think she should have gotten could be to decrease Awakening Gauge, because I feel that right now what's lacking in a magic team is that unless you use Red Grid, right? Because Milia is no longer used, and I don't think there's many heroes that actually reduce Awakening Gauges, so I think if she had gotten those two effects, it would be a lot better. So you might be thinking, is she a game-changing unit? Definitely not. Okay, definitely not. You have to consider one thing. The first thing is that there are a lot of teams right now going on, a variety of teams. So there's no rule and saying that you need to stick to this team. Okay, and with that, it makes Daya even less important because right now I can see her only in these two teams. You definitely cannot use her in an offensive team. I don't think that will make much sense. And even for universal team, it is very tricky because most universal heroes right now are offensive based, like Chris, Eileen, Judas. The only ones you can use her with are Abel, Platin, Wukong, Milia, these four. And Milia is extremely frail, I even tried her. So that leaves you with Wukong and Abel. Platin is also not good in terms of damage, and if you meet an offensive team, you are gonna die so fast because he cannot reduce their HP to 1 and he doesn't do damage. So you'll be in a very bad situation, especially if enemy Fenris just continuously slay you with his attacks, and sometimes Dylan's hits extremely hard as well. Yeah, so for universal teams, the idea is to drag out the damage, the match, so that you can gain enough bulk to survive everything. Okay, so that's how I think universal team should be, unless you're using a death team. Yeah, and she definitely cannot be used in a death team. And you see here all the heals from Rudy and Daya. You can basically just survive for a very long time, and Rudy supports Daya as well. So in this case, this was an extremely long battle that really got down to 1 minute, less than 1 minute I believe. So I've cut it up in a few segments. I'm just going to show you guys the main front part, which is the more important thing. This is actually the meta team, but it's also a tank based team because you have Clemith, okay, you have Platin, Judas, Anti, and Rudy. So all these are very tanky heroes, but look at the way you can actually shred them. Take note that in my team, the only ones that are benefiting from Daya's passive is Abel, Wukong, and Daya herself, right? So, I mean, that's more than enough. I don't have lifesteal from skills, so my Able is very susceptible to dying, especially if he gets converted or brought down very quickly. Hopefully he lifesteals back. Yeah, unfortunately he dies to the dimensional attack. Yeah, so that's one thing. So when I was testing the universal team, I kept thinking of how good it would be to have NT, because NT is just so good. Like, she has everything that you need for the current meta, I would say. Debuff plants, skill nullification, CCs, and her your own unique CC. So yeah, just look at how the team is being brought down. Yeah, so fast forwarding, we are left with Clemith and Anti, two very tanky heroes, and Clemith is just insanely annoying because she's able to cast shield, she's able to heal a lot. Okay, so it's very difficult to bring them down, and with Anti with skill nullification it's even worse. So the thing about Daya's awakened skill here is that because I have a slot, so she can use it and summon her avatar, the avatar acts as a completely extra hero for you with Daya's skill set. So you basically have 2 chances to land suffocation, and I think that's really good. The thing you have to know is that Daya's avatar does not have any equipment stat, so that is why she does fall very easily. She has no HP. Okay, her HP is really at the base level of HP at level 44. So that is why with one dimensional attack she actually just popped and died. Right? So yeah, that is something you have to take note. And finally we hit the 1 minute mark. Anti hits really hard here, but thankfully I have reflect, so it kills Anti as well. My Daya has died, but I think, you know, with one Clemith alone, he cannot do anything to me. So that is how long Daya can survive actually with the right setup and team. So yeah. So I hope this video was fun to watch and it showed you how Daya can be used. Stay tuned for more Daya videos because I've tested her in PvE as well. Big shout out to my channel members ZMD Phoenix and the Mocha Cafe for the support. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and see you!